This might be the most damning contradiction we have ever seen from Meghan Markle's camp. Her spokesperson announced to the world that the Duchess of Sussex had reached out to her dying father. The headlines spread like wildfire. Meghan makes contact. Meghan extends an olive branch. Meghan finally shows compassion. But here is the problem. Thomas Markle himself says it never happened. The hospital says it never happened. And now Prince Harry is reportedly left stunned by what can only be described as a public relations disaster of epic proportions. Let us set the scene. Thomas Markle, 81 years old, lies in an intensive care unit in the Philippines after emergency surgery to amputate his left leg below the knee. A blood clot had cut off circulation completely. His foot turned blue, then black. Doctors told his son Thomas Jr. that it was life or death. They raced him by ambulance to a larger hospital in Cebu with sirens blaring. For 3 grueling hours, surgeons worked to save his life. The leg had to go, or Thomas Markle would die. And where was Meghan during all of this? Initially, her representatives declined to comment. No comment. Those 2 cold words while her father fought for his life thousands of miles away. But then the narrative shifted. A spokesperson for the Duchess suddenly announced to People magazine that Meghan had reached out to her father. The statement was brief and deliberately vague. "I can confirm she has reached out to her father." That was it. No details, no explanation of what reaching out actually meant. The world exhaled. Perhaps Meghan had finally shown some humanity. Perhaps this medical crisis had broken through 7 years of silence. Perhaps Harry's reported encouragement had worked. But within hours, the story completely unraveled. Thomas Markle spoke directly from his hospital bed to the Mail on Sunday. He said he was confused by the reports. He had purposely never changed his phone number so Meghan could always contact him, but he received nothing. No call, no message, nothing. The hospital backed him up. A source from the facility confirmed that if Meghan or anyone connected to her had called, they would have known about it. "Mr. Markle is a VIP patient," they explained. "Of course we all know who he is. If Meghan or anyone connected with her had called here, we would have known. It is a big hospital by Filipino standards, but we all know each other and we all talk." Then came the explosive response from Samantha Markle, who took to social media with a blistering message. "Houston, there has been no contact," she wrote. "Time to stop the PR lies." Reports suggest that Meghan may have sent an email, but family members and close friends confirm that Thomas never uses email. So what exactly did reaching out mean? Was it a hollow gesture designed for headlines rather than genuine reconciliation? And through all of this, sources say Prince Harry watched in disbelief because he had been trying so hard to push Meghan toward this moment. Long before Thomas Markle was rushed into emergency surgery, insiders say Prince Harry had been quietly working behind the scenes to convince his wife to do something she has refused to do for 7 years, reconcile with her father. And according to multiple sources, Harry was not being subtle about it. He was practically begging her. Royal columnist Rob Shooter spoke to several insiders who painted a picture of a husband who understands the pain of family estrangement all too well. One source revealed that Harry has been gently but firmly urging Meghan to reach out to Thomas for quite some time. Harry knows estrangement, the insider explained. He made peace with his dad. Now he wants Meghan to have the same chance. He has been saying, "Don't wait, do it now." Think about that for a moment. Harry, who spent years at war with his own family, who wrote a tell-all memoir exposing palace secrets, who publicly accused his relatives of racism and neglect, has apparently found enough healing with King Charles to want the same for his wife. His September reunion with his father reportedly shifted something inside him. He saw what reconciliation could look like, he felt the weight lift, and he desperately wanted Meghan to experience that same release. Another source described Harry's approach as soft, compassionate, and very much a lead-by-example moment. He is showing Meghan what reconciliation looks like, the insider noted, and he hopes she takes it. But hoping and succeeding are 2 very different things, because despite Harry's encouragement, despite his own journey toward healing, Meghan apparently remained unmoved. Sources close to the situation say Harry has been increasingly concerned about the situation with Thomas Markle. He sees the writing on the wall. His own father, King Charles, is battling cancer. Time is not guaranteed for anyone, and Thomas Markle at 81 years old has already survived 2 heart attacks, a major stroke that left him unable to speak for months, and even a devastating earthquake that struck his apartment building in the Philippines. The man has been through absolute hell, and Harry reportedly understands that every day of silence is a day they can never get back. This is not about headlines, another source emphasized. It is about family. Harry allegedly told Meghan directly that she needs to see how serious this situation truly is. Her father is not getting younger. His health is not getting better, and the window for reconciliation is closing rapidly. But here is where it gets even more heartbreaking. A longtime friend of Thomas Markle offered a grim assessment. Thomas has been through strokes, heart attacks, and more. The man has survived Hollywood-level drama, but this time, it does not look good. The friend was speaking before the amputation, before the intensive care unit, before Thomas began fighting for his very survival. Harry saw all of this coming. He tried to warn Meghan. He tried to lead by example. And yet when the crisis finally struck, it started with a swollen foot. Thomas Markle had been living quietly in Cebu with his son Thomas Jr., trying to build a new life far away from the constant reminders of his estrangement from Meghan. He moved to the Philippines earlier this year, partly to escape the pain. Every day in Mexico, there was another story about the daughter who had abandoned him. Every headline was a fresh wound, so he left. He started over, and for a while things seemed manageable. But on Tuesday, December 2nd, everything changed. Thomas woke up feeling unwell. His left foot had become swollen and discolored. Within hours, it started turning blue, then black. Thomas Jr. knew something was terribly wrong. He rushed his father to a local hospital near their home, where doctors ran scans and ultrasounds trying to determine what was happening inside the 81-year-old's body. The diagnosis was devastating. A 14-inch blood clot had formed in Thomas's left thigh, completely cutting off circulation to his lower leg. The tissue was dying. The flesh was already turning necrotic. Doctors delivered the grim news with urgency in their voices. There was no time to waste, no options to consider, no second opinions to seek. The leg had to come off immediately, or Thomas Markle would die. Thomas Jr. described the chaos that followed. "They raced us by ambulance with the sirens going to a much bigger hospital in the center of the city," he recalled. The local facility was not equipped for this level of emergency surgery. They needed specialists. They needed a proper surgical team. They needed a miracle. For 3 agonizing hours, surgeons at the larger hospital in Cebu worked to save Thomas Markle's life. They amputated his left leg below the knee, removing the foot and lower limb that had already begun to rot from the inside. The operating room was tense. The stakes could not have been higher. One wrong move and infection could spread to his heart. Sepsis could set in. Gangrene could claim more of his body. When the surgery finally ended, Thomas was moved to the intensive care unit. He was alive, but barely. Doctors warned the family that the next 2 to 3 days would be critical. The wound needed to heal without infection. His body needed to recover from the trauma of major surgery, and there was still another procedure looming. A second blood clot remained in his left thigh, requiring yet another operation once he stabilized. Thomas Jr. shared his father's condition with the world. "My dad is being very brave," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion and worry. His foot turned blue and then black. It happened very quickly. There was no option. I was told the leg had to be removed and it was a case of life or death. Life or death. Those 3 words hung in the air as the world waited to see how Meghan Markle would respond to her father's crisis. But the silence from Montecito was absolutely deafening. While Thomas Markle lay in an intensive care unit fighting for his life, the world turned its attention to Montecito, California. Surely the Duchess of Sussex would say something. Surely she would issue a statement expressing concern for her father. Surely this medical emergency would finally break through 7 years of cold silence. But what the public received instead was a masterclass in indifference. When journalists first reached out to Meghan's representatives seeking comment on her father's hospitalization, the response was stunning in its coldness. No comment. That was it. No comment. Her 81-year-old father had just lost his leg in emergency surgery. He was lying in a hospital bed in the Philippines, wondering if he would survive the night. And his daughter's official position was no comment. The timing made the silence even more painful to witness. Because while Thomas Markle was being rushed into surgery with sirens blaring, Meghan was busy promoting her Netflix holiday special. With Love, Meghan had just launched, featuring the Duchess crafting Christmas decorations, cooking festive meals, and waxing poetic about the importance of family connection. The irony was not lost on anyone paying attention. In the special, Meghan speaks warmly about bringing loved ones together during the holiday season. She emphasizes traditions and meaningful moments shared with family. She even filmed herself writing love notes to Harry and tucking them into an advent calendar. "There's a little love letter, a little chocolate, a little hat," she gushed about the gifts she prepared for her husband. Yet for her own father there was nothing. No love letter, no phone call, not even an acknowledgement that he existed. Royal watchers pointed out the staggering hypocrisy. Here was a woman building an entire brand around warmth, connection, and domestic bliss while her father fought for his life alone on the other side of the world. Here was the self-proclaimed humanitarian who could not find 5 minutes to pick up a phone and check on the man who raised her. Thomas Jr. made an emotional plea during this period of silence. "I would implore Meghan and Harry to reach out to Dad," he said desperately. "My only wish is that Meghan shows my father some compassion. He is literally fighting for his life." His words echoed across tabloids and social media. People could not believe what they were witnessing. A daughter refusing to contact her dying father was difficult enough to comprehend, but doing so while simultaneously preaching about family values on a streaming platform felt almost deliberately cruel. Sources say Prince Harry was deeply uncomfortable during this period. He had already encouraged Meghan to reconcile. He had already tried leading by example, and now he was watching the situation spiral into a public relations catastrophe that reflected poorly on both of them. The pressure was mounting. The criticism was intensifying. Something had to give. And then finally, Meghan's team broke their silence. But what they said only made everything worse. After days of damaging silence, Meghan's team finally decided to act. On Friday, December 5th, a spokesperson for the Duchess of Sussex released a statement to People magazine that was meant to quiet the growing criticism. Instead, it poured gasoline on an already raging fire. "I can confirm she has reached out to her father," the spokesperson announced. That was the entire statement. 13 words, no details, no context, no explanation of what reaching out actually meant. The public immediately began dissecting every syllable. Reached out, how exactly? Did she call him? Did she text him? Did she send a message through a third party? Did she actually speak with Thomas or simply attempt to make contact? The vagueness was infuriating to observers who had watched this family drama unfold for 7 years. It felt calculated. It felt like damage control rather than genuine concern. Word on the street suggests that Meghan may have sent an email. But here is the problem with that explanation. According to family members and close friends, Thomas Markle does not use email. He never has. He is an 81-year-old man who prefers phone calls and face-to-face conversation. If Meghan truly wanted to reach her father, she knows his phone number. She has always known it. Thomas himself confirmed that he purposely never changed his number, specifically so his daughter could contact him whenever she was ready. So why would Meghan allegedly choose to send an email to a man who does not read emails? Critics suggest it was a strategic move designed to create the appearance of effort without any genuine intention of actually connecting. She could claim she reached out, her team could release statements saying contact was made, and if Thomas never responded, well, that would be his fault for not checking his inbox. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Social media erupted with accusations that Meghan was prioritizing optics over authenticity. Royal commentators questioned whether this was simply crisis management rather than a real attempt at reconciliation. Even media outlets that typically support the Sussexes raised eyebrows at the deliberately ambiguous wording of the statement. Insiders claim that the decision to release the statement came after intense internal discussions about how the silence was damaging Meghan's carefully cultivated image as a compassionate humanitarian. Her brand depends on appearing warm, caring, and family-oriented. Ignoring her dying father completely contradicted everything she claims to represent. Something had to be said, but apparently something meaningful was too much to ask. Sources close to the situation reveal that Prince Harry was not entirely comfortable with how this was being handled. He had encouraged genuine reconciliation, not public relations maneuvering. He had spoken about the importance of family and making peace before it was too late, and now he was watching his wife's team spin a narrative that felt hollow even to him. But the real explosion came when Thomas Markle himself responded to the claims, and what he revealed from his hospital bed shocked everyone. From his bed in the intensive care unit, still recovering from the amputation of his left leg, Thomas Markle finally spoke his truth, and it directly contradicted everything his daughter's team had claimed. In an exclusive interview with the Mail on Sunday, the 81-year-old expressed confusion about the reports that Meghan had reached out to him, because according to Thomas, no such contact ever occurred. "I have purposely never changed my phone number so she could always get in touch with me," Thomas explained, his voice weary but determined to set the record straight. He had kept that same number for 7 years, specifically for this reason. If Meghan ever wanted to call, if she ever wanted to hear her father's voice, the line was open. It had always been open, but it remained silent. Thomas confirmed that he received no phone calls, no text messages, no voicemails, nothing. If Meghan had truly reached out in any meaningful way, he would have known about it. His phone was right there beside his hospital bed. He was checking it constantly, hoping against hope that this crisis might finally be the moment his daughter returned to him. But that moment never came. The hospital itself backed up Thomas's account. A source from the facility in Cebu confirmed that they had received no calls from Meghan or anyone connected to her. "Mr. Markle is a VIP patient," the source explained. "Of course we all know who he is. If Meghan or anyone connected with her had called here, we would have known. It is a big hospital by Filipino standards, but we all know each other and we all talk." The revelation was devastating. Meghan's spokesperson had publicly announced that she reached out to her father, but neither Thomas nor the hospital staff had any record of such contact. The math simply did not add up. Someone was not telling the truth. Then Samantha Markle entered the conversation with characteristic bluntness. Taking to social media, Meghan's half-sister unleashed a scathing response to the reaching out claims. "Houston, there has been no contact," Samantha wrote. "Time to stop the PR lies, Medusa." Her words dripped with years of accumulated frustration at watching her father be ignored and discarded. Thomas Jr. echoed the sentiment. The family was confused and hurt by the false claims circulating in the media. "We were all confused when we saw the story that the Duchess had reached out to her dad," sources close to the family revealed. "As far as we are aware, it did not happen. We would love to see the Duchess here in the Philippines." Lying in his hospital bed, facing an uncertain recovery and the prospect of learning to live without his left leg, Thomas made a heartbreaking admission. "I do not want to die estranged from Meghan," he said softly. "I want to meet my grandkids. It might be nice to meet her husband too." And somewhere in California, sources say Prince Harry was processing all of this with growing dismay. For months, Prince Harry had been trying to guide his wife toward healing. He had walked his own painful path back to his father, King Charles. He had experienced firsthand what it felt like to carry the weight of family estrangement, and he had emerged from that darkness believing reconciliation was possible, even after years of bitter silence and public warfare. So when Thomas Markle's medical crisis presented the perfect opportunity for Meghan to finally bridge the gap with her father, Harry reportedly believed she would take it. Sources close to the couple suggest Harry was genuinely stunned when he realized what was happening. Despite his encouragement, despite his pleas to reach out before it was too late, despite leading by example with his own father, Meghan had apparently chosen a different path. She had allowed her PR team to craft a carefully worded statement suggesting contact was made while her actual father lay in a hospital bed confirming no such thing occurred. Insiders describe Harry as deeply uncomfortable with the contradiction. He had been the one pushing for authenticity. He had been the one saying this was not about headlines but about family, and now his wife's representatives had turned a genuine opportunity for reconciliation into what appeared to be a hollow public relations exercise. The gap between what Harry wanted and what actually happened could not have been wider. Palace insiders whisper that Harry sees troubling parallels between Meghan's situation and his own past. He burned bridges with the royal family. He said things publicly that caused irreparable damage. He published a memoir that laid bare private conversations and family secrets, and while he has taken steps toward mending fences with Charles, the relationship with William remains fractured. Harry knows what it feels like to let pride and pain prevent healing. He knows the regret that comes with wasted time. That is precisely why sources say he was so insistent that Meghan not make the same mistakes. Thomas Markle is 81 years old. He has survived heart attacks, a stroke, an earthquake, and now a life-threatening amputation. The clock is ticking. Every day of continued estrangement is a day that cannot be recovered. Harry allegedly understands this with painful clarity, but Meghan seemingly remains unmoved. Reports indicate she has shown no interest in traveling to the Philippines to see her father. She has not issued any personal statement expressing concern for his recovery. She has not posted anything on social media acknowledging his fight for survival. The woman who fills her Instagram with carefully curated content about family and connection has remained conspicuously silent about her own flesh and blood. For Harry, this creates an impossible position. He has publicly aligned himself with Meghan on virtually every issue. He has defended her against criticism from his own relatives. He has sacrificed relationships with his brother and father to stand by her side. But watching her handle this situation reportedly left him questioning whether the reconciliation he envisioned for her was ever truly possible. To understand the depth of this tragedy, you have to go back to the beginning. Thomas Markle did not just raise Meghan, he sacrificed everything for her. When Meghan was 11 years old, her mother Doria Ragland stepped back from daily parenting responsibilities. It was Thomas who stepped up. For 7 formative years, he was both mother and father to the girl who would one day become a duchess. He worked grueling hours as a lighting director in Hollywood, winning Emmy Awards for his technical expertise on shows like General Hospital, and every dollar he earned went toward giving Meghan the best possible future. Private school tuition that reportedly totaled hundreds of thousands of dollars, acting lessons, dance classes, every opportunity a young aspiring actress could need. Thomas invested everything he had into his daughter's dreams. Meghan herself once spoke glowingly about her father. In old blog posts and interviews, she described him as hardworking, creative, and devoted. She credited him with sparking her interest in television and entertainment. She painted pictures of a loving father-daughter relationship built on shared experiences and mutual admiration. Those words feel like ancient history now. Everything shattered in the weeks before Meghan's wedding to Prince Harry in May of 2018. Thomas was photographed at an internet cafe in Mexico, seemingly looking at pictures of Prince Harry and the royal family. Later, it emerged that the photos were staged in cooperation with a paparazzi photographer. Samantha Markle later admitted she helped arrange the setup, believing it would improve her father's public image ahead of the wedding. When the scandal broke, Meghan and Harry reportedly confronted Thomas by phone. According to Thomas, the conversation was brutal. He was lying in a hospital bed recovering from heart surgery, having already suffered 2 heart attacks in the days leading up to the wedding, and his daughter and future son-in-law were scolding him for cooperating with photographers. "I felt disrespected by them," Thomas later revealed. "I was recovering from a heart attack, lying in a bed, having a phone call, and things were being said that hurt me. I felt like I was being blamed for my mistakes when I was in my hospital bed recovering." Thomas never made it to the wedding. King Charles, then Prince of Wales, walked Meghan partway down the aisle instead. Thomas later called the gesture incredibly kind and gracious, but the damage was done. Meghan cut him off completely. 7 years of silence followed. During that time, Thomas endured unimaginable hardship, 2 heart attacks, a major stroke in 2022 that left him unable to speak for months, an earthquake that struck his apartment building in the Philippines. Through all of it, he kept hoping Meghan would call. He kept his phone number unchanged. He kept his heart open. "I have never stopped loving her," Thomas said from his hospital bed. But love alone cannot bridge a gap that one person refuses to cross. There are 2 children living in a mansion in Montecito who have no idea their grandfather exists. Prince Archie is 6 years old now. Princess Lilibet is 4. They have grown up surrounded by luxury, celebrity friends, and carefully curated experiences designed for their mother's Netflix cameras. But they have never felt the embrace of Thomas Markle. They have never heard his stories about working in Hollywood. They have never experienced the love of a grandfather who desperately wants to know them. Thomas has spoken publicly about this pain many times over the years. It is the wound that cuts deepest. He can accept that Meghan has chosen to exile him from her life. He can live with the silence, the unanswered calls, the birthdays and holidays that pass without acknowledgement. But the grandchildren are different. They are innocent. They did not choose this estrangement, and they are growing up without any connection to their mother's side of the family. "My only wish is to see my grandchildren before I die," Thomas has said repeatedly. Those words carry even more weight now as he recovers from life-threatening surgery in a Philippine hospital. At 81 years old, with one leg amputated and more health challenges looming, Thomas knows his time is limited. Every day that passes is another day his grandchildren grow older without knowing him. The cruelty of this situation becomes even more apparent when you consider what Meghan preaches publicly. Her Netflix special is filled with warm moments of family togetherness. She speaks lovingly about raising Archie and Lilibet. She emphasizes the importance of traditions and connections that bind generations together. Yet she has systematically denied her own children the opportunity to know their grandfather. Sources close to Thomas say he has boxes of gifts he has purchased for Archie and Lilibet over the years. Birthday presents that were never sent because he had no address. Christmas toys that sit collecting dust. He does not even know what his grandchildren look like beyond the occasional blurry photograph released by their parents. Meghan has shared glimpses of the children on social media, but Thomas sees them the same way the rest of the world does, as a stranger looking in from the outside. Meanwhile, King Charles has also been largely denied access to his grandchildren. Archie and Lilibet have reportedly met their royal grandfather only a handful of times. The children are growing up isolated from both sides of their family heritage. No connection to the Markles, minimal connection to the Windsors, just their parents and whatever carefully selected friends Meghan deems acceptable. Thomas Jr. has spoken about the sadness this causes the entire family. The relationships between cousins is a special one. He once observed, "I feel sad that Lilibet and Archie do not have the chance to know their cousins. The children are missing out on aunts, uncles, and extended family connections that most kids take for granted." And lying in his hospital bed, Thomas wonders if he will ever get the chance to change that. Thomas Markle lies in an intensive care unit in Cebu, Philippines, facing a long and uncertain recovery. His left leg is gone. Another surgery looms to remove a second blood clot from his thigh. Doctors remain extremely concerned about infection and complications. The next 72 hours are critical, they warn. And through it all, the question that haunts everyone watching this tragedy unfold remains unanswered. Will Meghan finally come? The logistics are not complicated. Meghan has money. She has access to private jets. She has traveled to Nigeria and Colombia this year for quasi-royal tours with Harry. The Philippines is not an impossible journey. It is simply a matter of choice. And so far, every indication suggests Meghan has chosen to stay exactly where she is. Sources say Prince Harry remains caught in an impossible position. He encouraged reconciliation. He led by example with his own father. He reportedly pleaded with Meghan to reach out before it was too late, but he cannot force his wife to heal a relationship she seems determined to keep broken. At some point, Harry has to accept that this is Meghan's decision to make. And that decision apparently does not include flying to her dying father's bedside. The public response has been overwhelmingly critical. Social media is flooded with condemnation of Meghan's handling of this crisis. Royal commentators have called her behavior heartless, calculating, and hypocritical. Even outlets that typically support the Sussexes have struggled to defend the optics of a daughter ignoring her father's fight for survival, while promoting a lifestyle show about family connection. Thomas himself remains hopeful despite everything. "I have always said I am open to reconciling with my daughter," he declared from his hospital bed. "I have never stopped loving her. I do not want to die estranged from Meghan. I want to meet my grandkids. It might be nice to meet her husband too." His words are heartbreaking in their simplicity. An old man asking for nothing more than to see his daughter before he dies. But Meghan has given no indication that such a meeting will ever happen. Her team's vague statement about reaching out has been contradicted by Thomas, the hospital, and her own siblings. Whatever gesture she allegedly made clearly did not result in actual communication. And now the world watches to see what comes next. Will this medical crisis finally break through 7 years of silence? Will Meghan swallow her pride and board a plane to the Philippines? Will Harry's encouragement eventually break through his wife's resistance? Or will Thomas Markle die without ever seeing his daughter again? Without ever holding his grandchildren? Without ever getting the reconciliation he has prayed for every single day? These are the questions that demand answers, and only Meghan can provide them. So what do you think? Should Meghan visit her father before it is too late? Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next video is waiting, and you will not believe what is coming next.